Well, good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining this month's Office 365 Productivity Tips, the January Joust. Tom, how are you doing this morning?
I am doing great, Justin.
Yeah,
Christian, Justin. I'll just call you in.
And where are you back home? Are you off the road?
I am off the road. I am still working remote because I always work remote, but just as one of those general announcements to those who are on the call, my remoteness will change later this year, and I'll actually be working remote from Minneapolis instead of working remote from Portland.
And they have internet, so...
If it doesn't go below too deep of a temperature, I understand that the internet does work. Otherwise, it's kind of a dog sled thing. So we'll figure out in the months what we'll do for this.
Well, let's go ahead and jump into it, and we'll kind of explain how Tom and I run this. And Tom, is this our fifth or sixth time doing this?
Gosh, something like that. I think we've done 3 or 4 webinars. We've done 1 live.
Right.
So yeah.
We're all right. So let me just introduce myself, and then I've got the slide control right now. Tom and I will be passing this back and forth. And just so everyone knows, yes, this is being recorded and will be pushed out to YouTube probably later today. And the slides will also be made available. So those who aren't familiar with my background, my name is Christian Buckley. I am the founder of Collab Talk. I'm located in the bottom of the Salt Lake Valley, if you're familiar with the area. So I go out my back porch, I see the wall of mountains out there across the valley, but I'm over on the east side.
Are you below sea level?
West side. What am I talking about? West side. I'm over by that giant copper mine, which can be seen from outer space. But
actually, for what it's worth, Christian, since we as a company have locations in Oregon, Washington, Idaho, and Utah, there's probably a number of Salt Lake City people who are on here, which they may be on your side too.
Hey, well, there you go. You've got to vote for the local guy. All right. So my blog is at buckleyplanet.com, and I've been blogging to that site for 16 years, which is pretty incredible. But if I don't say so myself. Look at my company. So Collab Talk, I have an independent research and technical marketing services company, and that's me. And Tom, tell us about yourself.
And just for those who are on for the first time and don't know Christian is literally kind of a legend in the SharePoint community. And
in my own mind as well.
In your own mind and in the minds of
Tom, I'm even bigger in my mind than I am in the community. So, yeah.
There's barely enough room in your mind to contain your legend. But yeah, Christian is quite the person, quite the community resource. And when he came up with this idea to co-present on productivity, because we both had that focus, but really neither of us had connected up on it before, I was like, oh my gosh, yes, I'm definitely going to jump at this chance to present with Christian.
Yeah, because I was looking to add a lot of the same types of tips to my blog, and I came across one of your early posts. I think you had been just blogging for a couple months, and I'm like, why am I doing it? I just need to point people to Tom's. This is awesome.
Yeah, it's worked out really well as a collaboration between the two of us. For those who don't know me, I am a software engineer / developer / adverse to semicolon type coder for SharePoint stuff at Cambia Health Solutions, which is based in that 4-state region I talked about earlier. I'm actually in Portland right now working remote because my office is like half a block away and I don't like to commute. I've been doing collaboration stuff, both Lotus Notes and then shifting into the SharePoint and the Office 365 realm for, 30 plus years now, which makes me really, really old. And I publish all these tips that I do that start out internally as something called Spark One. And then I make sure they're scrubbed and don't have any, information on them that could be sensitive. And they also get published out to 1 Minute Office Magic so I can share with a wider community, because I had a number of people who were like, oh man, can I get on that list? I'm like, nah, it's an internal thing. So
Yeah.
It went external, and Christian and I hooked up, and what you're about to see is something we have fun with on a monthly basis.
And this is something that Tom and I are doing these webinars monthly, and then whenever possible, like I just saw the call for speakers for the next Twin Cities SharePoint Saturday happening in April. I'll be there. If I get it, I'm there. So Tom, we need to submit again the same.
I'm trying to figure out if I can make that one work with the combination of getting close to moving. And,
right. Let me know. But this is something that we're constantly adding to this that you'll never see in these webinars or through our live presentations the same twice, so that we are building out a library of these Microsoft Office and Office 365 productivity tips. So you'll definitely check back, and both Tom and I will blog about what's going on around this. But with our fun model here is that we do this head to head. So we actually have audience participation. You have to vote, and what's interesting about this is that Tom and I are not aware what the other person is going to present. So here are the rules of engagement. So we go through, and this is a 5-round bout, and we take turns and we switch off, and I'll start, and then Tom will go, and then Tom will do one and throw it back my direction. But we'll vote at the end of each round. We are tracking the overall stats, the leaderboard. And in fact, Tom, I think we need to put the leaderboard at the beginning of each presentation. So
I really don't think we do, but you're going to do whatever you want. So I guess I have.
Because I published the slides, I know. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But so we take turns. There are no duplicates in the tips that we share. The audience votes after each round. We say no hitting below the belt. We do a little bit of trash talking. It happens.
I'm short. I have to hit below the belt because that's as high as I can reach. If he can hit me below the belt, that's actually saying something.
That's why I picked these pants, and my belt is up near my chest. Right. And then the winner is based on the overall voting. But we've got this little leaderboard because we figured, hey, years into this, we want to know how many hundreds of votes that we've achieved, each one, and who's won the most rounds, who's won the most events, and overall voting. So it'll be fun over time as people vote. So please do vote when you see the poll at the end of each of these segments. And then with that,
and with my coworkers, all I can say is please vote your conscience, and remember I may be working on one of your help desk tickets later today. So just keep that in mind.
Tom, come on. Let's be ethical, somewhat ethical about this. To be fair of this is that because it could be an apples versus oranges comparison. It's not like Tom presents a PowerPoint tip and then I present a PowerPoint tip. I might present a OneNote tip and then he might have an Excel tip. Two very different things. So the way that you should vote is based on those two items, which you believe is more personally, will add more productivity to your life.
And another thing that I don't think you touched on is the fact that since I don't know what Christian is doing and Christian doesn't know what I'm doing, there is a chance, hasn't happened yet, that I could have a tip set up as my number 4 tip, and all of a sudden he rolls out the same tip as number 2. Well, all of a sudden I can't use number 4 anymore. So yep. I have to kind of be ready to go with a different tip. So we kind of have to have a couple tips in reserve just in case.
And it hasn't happened yet, but I can see it happening, especially since Tom and I are both trying to stay on top of the news and what's happening. And, hey, that looks really cool. I want to get that new feature mentioned within there. So it's going to happen eventually, and it'll be fun when it does.
Could be depending on whose side it is. But let's get started.
All right. So I'm going to kick things off. And and I was thinking about some of the new features, and I do focus a lot on the new Office 365 capability, a lot of the cloud capability. I don't know if anybody saw this, experienced this, but that there seemed to be a degradation in Delve. And I don't know if you have a lot of users internally, Tom, that are using Office 365, or you still have people that are on-prem, or?
We're still in the process of getting ready to roll out the types of things that you would be covering right here. For our Office 365 rollout so far, we've got the email and we've got the Office Pro Plus going on.
Okay.
But we're about to start the proof of concept for OneDrive and SharePoint Online and Delve and all those kind of things.
Well, this is one of those things where Delve can be a very powerful discovery tool. And those that aren't familiar with Delve, that's what it is. It's part of the Office 365 suite. It's essentially a home page that allows you to see all of the projects, the content, the activities that you have permissions to see from your team members, from your network. And it allows you to follow projects and people and other things. And it's what's great about this, and it's plugged into, you've got your profile and you can see kind of the expanded profiles and organizational information. I used to experience this all the time where I was sitting in a meeting and new people would come in, oh, I'm such and such, I'm on, Tom's team. And I'm like, okay, I don't know who Tom is, I don't know who you are, I don't know what you guys work on, or maybe I know Tom, but just getting a name doesn't give me a sense. And there used to be some tools when I was back at Microsoft. We had a couple tools where I would sit and go and somebody new, and I would do a little background, like who is this person? Sometimes even pulling up their LinkedIn page to get information about them. Well, what Delve provides is like, this is what this person is working on. So like here we have Garth, the generic name is a member of the Contoso team. But here's what Garth is working for. Like, oh, that's his role. Or, oh, I see these projects. Yeah, I provided feedback on that one, and I didn't realize that was Garth who owned that. And I know two of his peers really well. It's a great tool for that. But what happened is with one of the updates is that some of the profiles lost their, for better terminology, the connector into their email and calendar. So, again, this is a setting that allows you to only see that data that you have permissions to go and see. But as an admin, you can go in and fix this if users are no longer able to see into and discover like things that are coming through, being surfaced through their email or other people's calendars, and reset that. So this is something that for Delve to add value, you need to have these connectors. And similarly, you need to get out and meet people and network with them and connect to them. You get more value out of this discovery and out of collaboration in general when you have a larger network. If you're only, talking to people within your direct organization, you're never going to know what you don't know because you haven't made those broader connections. And that's the power of Delve. So you want to make sure that Delve is connected into, all of the capability that's possible through Delve. And you definitely want to see into Outlook and Exchange.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting this functionality available to us, because I think the fact that it will expose things that are related to you based on who you work with, based on other things you've done, I think is going to be a real, and I hate the term game changer, but I think it will definitely move forward our ability to collaborate and find things and have those serendipitous discoveries that all of a sudden like, oh, I didn't know you were working on that too, and let's collaborate on that together. So while we're not using it right now, this is something I'm really excited about and will definitely become part of the initial pilot group rollout when we get to that point and things like that.
Yep. All right, Tom, let's pass it over to you.
Okay.
And if I do the stop share, this is where we'll edit on the video aspect of it, where we have to go back and forth to do this. And
so I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to share, you said,
there we go. It's popping up.
Okay. And I will pop up mine here. So you should be able to.
And I should also say, if people have questions throughout, use the Q&A tool as well, and Tom and I will try and field those. So if you do have questions about what we're sharing, we will try and respond throughout.
Okay. Oops. Back.
I didn't look.
So my tip has to do with OneNote, and it's a feature of OneNote that I stumbled upon at one point, which is like, whoa, this is really cool. And that's the ability that it can do optical character recognition, or what's commonly called OCR. And what that enables you to do is it enables you to take text that is part of a picture or a PDF or an image of some sort and break it out to where it actually becomes text that you can then copy and modify and things like that. So in order to make this work in OneNote, I have a picture here, and it's this image here with the text below it that says Fernasinoff and name, blah, blah, blah. I took a picture of that from some website. It was some story that I was reading about Bitcoin and drug trafficking and all that kind of stuff. And no, I wasn't looking at doing drug trafficking with Bitcoin. It just happened to pop up. Sure.
For the future, maybe.
If this job doesn't work out, I'll pick up some stuff on the side. So I took that picture and the text, went ahead and just snipped it out as one image, and pasted it into my OneNote page. Once I had that image out in my OneNote page, I could right-click on the image and take this option, copy text from picture. And what that does then is I can put my cursor somewhere else in the OneNote document and do a paste. And all of a sudden, what I've got is now the text that was in that image. So we go back, and you look down here, you'll see where it had the copyright for who took the picture and all the asset text there. You'll see that this is now broken out into text, which is really cool because now I can clean this text up, I can copy it, I can put it in a different document. Now it's usable for me, and I can actually get value in terms of being able to take that content and add it into other documents, provided I don't violate any copyright laws and stuff like that. I find this is really helpful in a PDF if the PDF doesn't allow you to copy text in it. You can copy the PDF into OneDrive, OneNote, and then you could right-click on it, say take image, or say text, say take text, and then paste the text. And again, you may have to do some cleanup on it, because if your image is fuzzy and the letters are kind of fuzzy, or it's at an angle, sometimes the OCR might not get everything right, but it certainly beats sitting there looking at the document and retyping it all from scratch. So you need to proof whatever you do with OCR, but in terms of having OCR capability built into whatever you're working with, OneNote is a great tool for doing that with.
Hey, Tom, Janice has a great question about will it copy if the PDF is secured? Because I've got a number of those, and I've had, where I've tried to even just grab text to paste in or a response in an email and gotten the goofy formatting results and things on there when it's secured, when it's protected. So do you know what happens when a PDF is secured?
I don't know right off, but I would think at worst, you'd be able to hack it in a way that you could go out there with like Snagit and, grab whatever part of the thing that you want to copy, snag it as an image, and then take that image from Snagit or whatever your photo tool is that you work with, pop that into OneNote, and then at that point you could take the text from it. So, or you could always take your phone, take a picture of it, take the phone with one lens, pop it over there, and there's many different ways you could go about it, I think, and work around it. But to answer the question directly, I don't know.
Okay. Well, I have out there, Tom, the poll question is live, so you can definitely go in and vote now about fixing the error within Delve or the optical character recognition.
You said I can't vote, right?
Are you able to vote? Like, I can't vote.
I just clicked on Tom and just clicked on submit, and the question box went away.
Oh, okay. I'm just going to have to remove one tally, but you know what? It's not like it's going to help me at all. For those that aren't paying attention right now, it's 95% for Tom. So
boom.
Yeah, I realize that my tip, an admin delve tip for an audience that may largely not be using delve is probably not very helpful, but I knew that going in.
I must admit, I did get just a wee bit excited when you started sharing that because I'm going to win the first round.
All right, I think we're ready to move on. Okay,
I can do that. Let's move on here.
Tom, congratulations. I will give you that.
Thank you.
Very strong win. That's very much in my face. And I think that just that vote alone, if we're dead even throughout the rest of it, puts you back up on top in the overall voting leaderboard. So, all right, I'm ending polling. Right. Yeah. So, Tom, you got 95% there.
Yay! Round 2, I get to start this time, and I'm going to go with another OneNote tip, and that is audio recording. I can't talk today. I had my improv class last night and stayed up too late. So one thing that you can do in OneNote, which is really slick, is that you may be sitting in a meeting and people are talking, or you may be, in a regular Skype meeting and you've got the sound coming out through your computer and everything. You can actually record audio directly into a OneNote document out there. So what you do, if you're in your page, like a note-taking page or something like that, what you can do is go into the Insert tab and click on Record Audio. And as soon as you click on Record Audio, it starts picking up anything it hears. So it could pick up you coughing in the background. It could pick up your dog barking. It's going to pick up whatever's coming over your computer, out through your speakers. It's basically recording live at that point based on what you hear as you're sitting there. And as you can see, as it's doing the recording, it goes to the recording tab and you've got the play button, which is grayed out because you're already recording. Plus you've got the pause and stop. So you can keep going as long as you want. When you're done, you click stop, and you'll see where the audio recording attachment is down here, and it's just picking up everything, tells you when it starts. That's great. But what's really cool, oh wait, there's more. If you're taking notes during this recording, like in this example here, it's like I can be taking notes, I put down a couple more lines and more notes, and when I click on this, blah, blah, blah. What actually happens is OneNote is synchronizing when that note was typed with where that occurred in the recording. So if I'm going back through listening to this, I'm looking at my notes and I want a little clarity as to what exactly was said, I can click on this note and you'll see this little play indicator here. If I click on that play indicator, it's going to play that part of record as it was at the time that I actually made that recording. So this is great in the fact that you don't have to have a high-end recording tool. You don't have to worry about, who else is recording, anything like that. Just click that, it's gonna pick the sound up. You can do all your recording with notes. You're gonna have time syncing. It's a very simple way of doing things, which in Office 365, there's some more complex features for recording and transcribing and stuff like that, but this is a very quick one-off thing that you can do yourself. One thing that was brought to my attention as soon as I put this tip out here was that the fact that if you're doing recording in a Skype meeting, you often have to tell people, or there's a little indicator that says, hey, recording is now turned on. In this case, there is no notification that recording is turned on because it's just something you're doing personally. So based on legal requirements or wherever you're at, you should probably warn people that you are recording this. for legal purposes, so you don't find yourself getting in hot water because you recorded something and nobody knew they were being recorded, and you get in trouble afterwards. So that's the little caveat that I have on this. But other than that, this is a really cool tip.
You know, so I just wear wire every day, all day. So you just have to assume that everything that when you're talking to me is being recorded. But it's interesting because I have a number of clients where every time we do a Skype or a Zoom session, we're recording it. It's up in a shared drive, so that which I think is a great practice, especially when you have a number of people in a meeting and you're going to, no matter how good you are at taking notes, you are going to miss some items. So it's just good practice to do that. I'm going to share my screen there.
Yeah, I'm horrified. Thank you, Sherry. I'm glad you're recording. I've always found I'm not a great note taker because I start becoming absorbed in the content. So for me, this would be really good if I've got something that is really important to me that I may need to go back at some point. I can have that audio recording to refresh my memory. Plus, I can take notes that will sync up to the main points that I was trying to make relevant to myself.
Interesting. And there are a couple questions that are on there. Like Kristen asks, will it pick up what's coming through your earpiece when someone else is speaking on a Skype meeting?
I don't believe so. I think it's only going to work for what you hear coming out audio, but I could be wrong on that.
Okay. And then the other question by Robin was, can anyone in the meeting do a recording or only the presenter?
If you're in a Skype meeting, you have to be a presenter to be able to do the recording. If you're doing this in OneNote, it's completely and totally up to you. Everybody could be recording it from that standpoint.
Okay.
And I thought that was awful mean that the person that you just took the question of, can we vote for Tom? Yeah. You can make up your mind to do that right now, regardless of what Christian brings up now per round.
I know that was the intentionally terse response. No. I was gonna do like an unhappy smiley, But yeah. So, and Tom, you can see my screen all right now.
Round two, go for it.
All right, let's do this. All right. So here's something that simple but very cool. And I don't know if people notice this, there is a requirement like life. Using @mentions inside of Outlook. I don't know if people have this yet because you have to have Outlook 2016 or be using Office 365 or the new Outlook.com. But it's just at first thought it was slightly annoying because it's become such a part of the way that we tend to write, if those especially that use social a lot, to @mention people, whether in Facebook or LinkedIn, or to add hashtags. I was one of those people that would always get annoying little notes from people that says, well, Facebook doesn't recognize hashtags, or, you're sending me an email. There's no reason to have a hashtag. Like, it just has become part of the way that I use those, the icons, the @mention, the hashtag, to emphasize certain things. And now, of course, with most online activities, @mentions do pull up from your address book the people, or it will automatically. A lot of sites will automatically recognize Twitter handles and @mention those people and alert them that they've been mentioned somewhere. And so the way that this works is that as you go into a brand new email body and start typing, let's say I'm writing an email to 4 or 5 people and I have specific comments for each of those people, I can start @mentioning those people. Like here you see the example of I start typing Tom and it pulls up his personal email. Sorry, Tom, I'm just giving that away to everybody.
Everybody else has it. Why not?
But then what it does, and you can see from the second one, is it adds Tom's name in the to field up above, but also highlights him on the screen. And what's great about that is then I can add that comment like, Tom, you need to go take a look at this. And then I can drop to the next one where I say, hey, Susan, which automatically it adds her up above and says this, and please follow up with Tom once he has this completed. And so when I'm now receiving some of these emails, and I not yet seeing them very often because this is a new functionality, but what's great about it is I'm able to jump down to the body of that email to where I'm specifically being referenced and where that call to action is. And so it's a great way that you're not having to sit there at the beginning of an email and think, who does this need to go to? You can start by just typing the body of that, and those people will automatically be identified up top. And then, of course, you can then go and add other people to that email. But what I'm doing is as I use this capability in my day-to-day, is the people that are mentioned in the body generally are in the to, and others I'm adding to the CC. If they're not specifically being called out, and that there's a kind of a natural handoff there between the two of the to and the CC. So, Tom, I don't know if you've seen this, we're aware of this. Or views this, but it's just become part of my regular day.
Yeah, actually, I really like this feature. So one of the reasons I haven't made this an internal tip yet, because I've looked at it, it's like, I kind of like this one, is that for some reason, up to now, and I haven't tried it like in 2 or 3 months, every time I would try to use the app mention, it would crash my Outlook client. And so I need to go back and see internally whether or not that's been fixed by one of the seemingly weekly updates that we get to things. And if that is the case, I definitely plan on using that as an internal Spark One tip, which I will no longer now be able to use that as a, monthly productivity tip thing. But yeah, I think this one is really cool. And I love the fact how, one, it automatically addresses it if you put the person's name in there. And two, it highlights it in such a way that it does make it a little easier to see what's going on in the email itself.
And Tom, I mean, I'd hope that you would still blog about it, put it up there, and maybe reference the overall video or the time when it is. But definitely needs to be part of the collection. But you're talking about things that impact you every day. This is one of those things where once I understood what it was, and that it wasn't just Outlook being annoying as I try to mention it, but, because I'll admit that a limitation of this is that I will reference someone's Twitter handle in the body, and it pops up and tries to add their name up above, and I'm like, I don't want that. I just want to actually include that Twitter handle. And it's really easy. You just don't hit return, just go past that, and it just leaves the at handle in place in the body. So yeah, it doesn't just automatically notify that person, so that you can do an at mention without adding that person to the email up above. Yeah.
We have an anonymous attendee question. Is this functionality just for inside the company, or others will be tagged outside? Have you seen how that comes across to another mail client?
No, I mean, so it does, it is looking at, so it is pulling from your address book. So from your perspective, it's there, but you do have to have, that version, the right version of to see the capability for it to be highlighted within that. Otherwise, it's just going to show, somebody that doesn't have that will just see at Thomas Duff, aka Duffbert, as text.
Yeah, I mean, because in this case, he is pinging me externally because he doesn't work for Gmail. But in terms of how that would look and work in my client, I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, and that should, if you've got the same version, if you have this capability, you should also see that highlighted, Tom, in yours, since you are also connected to your Gmail account.
True.
That should be highlighted for you from that capability. But
yeah, so it's something I'd have to look at.
Well, the voting right now, so I think is where we start to see the bias. Those people who could be honest with themselves. I see there was 60 to 40% there, but it looks like, Tom, you've got another, and the fact that I just slammed you, now it's 62-38. People are like, oh.
I was going to say, if I keep promoting this internally, you might want to treat me a little better there, Christian.
I just know that with the bias at play here, just realize that when I do win one, it's like a slam dunk. Maybe we need to, for this audience, we need to attach a handicap. But anyway.
Yeah, we've already got a handicap. Me.
All right. Congrats on that. All right.
So, on to round 3.
And let me jump to the next one. Round 3. All right. So here's the insert the quick screenshots into Word. And this is, again, something that is relatively simple. But if you find yourself jumping in between these different tools, trying to grab an image and tab back over and paste it back in, or use Snagit or one of these other tools, I don't know if most people are aware that there is just a simple screenshot option within Word. And so it's really simple. Up above within Insert, go over to underneath the Smart Art and Chart, there is that screenshot. And it will pull up everything that you have open. So if you are working in Paint or Photoshop, or you've got just a screen open for a website that you want to add in there, or an Excel file, whatever it is, and then just select that view, and it grabs it, then selects screen clipping, and it then pastes that in. And so you see I use I don't know if anybody saw that one, but I'm really happy with how that
was cute. That was cute, actually.
Joust. But so just add it in there, and then of course you just double click and format it, as I did over on the right side of that, and wrap the text around it. So quick and simple, but it's like this is one of those. Yes, it's up from the ribbon up on top, but it's another one of those shortcuts to something that usually takes 3 or 4 different steps, and this just simplifies something that should be really simple to go and do. Looking at a website, looking at an image, want to go and just drop it into Word, boom. And then, yes, you do have the ability to crop once it's dropped in there.
Okay.
All right.
I'm going to say this right now, Christian, and don't expect it to happen very often, but that was a pretty freaking awesome tip.
Thank you, sir. Hey, we always recognize each other's when there's good tips.
I mean, I was completely and totally unaware of that one. That one just, heck, when the poll comes up, I will be voting for you on this one, Christian, because I really like that one. Which makes me feel okay, because this was one of the tips, again, going with a OneNote theme today.
Love OneNote. These are always good.
Yeah, this is good, and it's funny because this one actually got retweeted by another group, and then got retweeted and retweeted and retweeted. I'm like, this is a throwaway tip, people. This isn't that big of a deal, but a lot of people really liked it. So one of the issues that we get a lot of times is when you paste something into OneNote, it tends to keep all of your formatting. And so that may be really great, but sometimes all you want is the plain text, so you can then do whatever you want with it, or you don't want all the, really big font and the little, stuff down below saying where it came from, the whole 9 yards. So what you can do is you go ahead and copy something like you normally would. You go out into OneNote and you figure out, what do I want to do? Do I want to paste the image? Do I want to paste from clipboard? Do I want just text only? In this case, I went ahead and selected keep the text only in what I had out there. But what also happens is once you do that paste, you get that little drop-down control thing, which usually is an irritant to most people. It's like, how come it keeps giving me these stupid little drop-downs? I hate them. In this case, it's actually kind of useful, because if you click that drop-down, above it'll set up the option where you can say, do you want to set only give me the text or keep text only? Do you want to set that as the default? And if you do, then from here on out, every time you paste into OneNote, that will be your default paste style. So again, if you're doing a lot of things where you want to keep the formatting versus just getting text, this probably isn't an option that you want to play with. But if you're mainly just using text-based stuff, or if you're in a project where all you want to do is get text-based stuff and you're grabbing from the web and Word documents and all this other stuff, you may want to set that as default paste. And then when you do your paste, you know you're going to get just the text every time you do it.
So Kristen asked a great question. I was about to ask a similar question. She asked, what if you paste one way like 90% of the time, but then you want to paste another way that isn't your default? And I was going to ask something similar and just say, well, is that setting just for that page within OneNote or Word, wherever it is, or and then you move to another document and then you have to reset it? Because I jump in between all three.
Right. I think it sets it across the board, because I know that I set mine for set as default paste when I was doing this tip a while back, and I think I still get default as just text. So I think it's across the board when you set it.
So do you know if you can turn that annoying thing off if we are moving in between them?
Yes, I'm sure you can.
That would be something that's another tip or to add to this one, maybe offline or in a blog post around it. But I just like to turn that thing off. It's great that you can do that, set it as a default.
Right.
But I believe I'm like most people where I jump between those, and I just want that annoying thing turned off.
Yeah, I know that when I have done some tips with like Excel and things like that, where people have complained about this little drop down, I think if you go out into File and Options, there is an option out there to turn off the little control tip drop down.
Okay.
I just have not tried that on OneNote and don't know if it's out there.
That would be great for the blog post, because I will go follow that. And Kate also asked whether you can set a default paste settings in other Office products like Excel.
I'm gonna say probably not, because Excel a lot of times what it's going to do is it's just going to take the text of whatever you're dealing with, where OneNote is actually going to try to do all the print and the formatting and the HTML behind the scenes and the whole 9 yards. Yes. So I don't think you're going to have that same option in other things like you would in OneNote. And OneNote is kind of still a horse of a different color. So.
Yep. Well, the poll is now open, and people can go in there and add their comments in there. Yeah, I think that there's, Tom, there's some good questions that maybe if you don't already have a blog post on it, you could probably grab some of that Q&A and answer those within the body. It'd be very useful. Yeah, because I'll tell you, I understand what each of the style differences do, and I get into projects where I'm, going back and forth and cutting, pasting, moving things around, and sometimes that thing gets in the way. It's annoying, and so I just want to turn it off.
Yeah.
Get it? I get what it does. I don't care. All right.
I must admit, though, in this case, your insert screenshot is like, oh my God, that is awesome.
Thank you, sir. And it looks like I've got it. So right now, 84 to 16%.
I am more than happy to let you slam dunk that one, my friend.
All right. Well, let's jump on. I'll leave that open for 5 more seconds. But if you want to jump into the next round.
Okay. Let me do that. Okay. One of the things that occasionally I'll have happen, since I do a lot of both SharePoint support and by extension some Office support because I do these tips, is occasionally you'll get somebody going, I've lost content that's critical in my OneNote, and what do I do? And actually,
Tom, I just got that. I had that conversation last night with a client.
I had one user who called me up one day, and No preamble, didn't ping me beforehand, just called straight. I picked up the phone, I said, hi, whatever her name was. And she's like, I'm about to throw up. Are you ready? I'm like, hi, and how's your day going? And she was having things that were disappearing before her eyes in OneNote. And so basically what somebody was doing is they were cleaning up their version of a notebook in OneNote, not realizing that they were synced and that those deletes they were doing were syncing up to the main copy that was stored in SharePoint, which then was deleting it for everybody else. So what we were able to do, thankfully, is you've got a thing called the OneNote Recycle bin. And so in this example, I've got a notebook out there, and I went out to my meeting notes, and I went ahead and deleted it. And then let's just say I figured out that that was really critical information. I'm like, oh my gosh, I need that back. What do I do? Well, if I go out to history and I go down to Notebook Recycle Bin and then click on that option, what it does is it actually brings up the recycle bin, and you'll see everything that's been deleted. And I believe it holds it for up to 30 days. 60 days. Unless you turn off the recycle bin, which you can do, but I advise you leave it in there just for purposes of safety. And when you go out to that recycle bin area, you'll see that here's my meeting notes section that has everything that I had in that section. Plus, if I had deleted individual pages, I could find them in the deleted pages tab. So what I do at that point is I just go out to either right-click on the section, or I could right-click on the page. And the drop-down menu that you get has Move or Copy. And when I click the Move or Copy, it gives me the option of where I want to put it. So I can put it back in the same place, and I can just do a move because I know I'm doing it correctly. Or I can do a copy if I wanted to move that to a couple different places. Because the move is actually going to delete it from the recycle bin once it's finished. The copy is just going to make a copy of it, but still leave it in the recycle bin. And when I go back out there and look at my meeting notes, there they are. They're in the notebook that I originally had them in, and life is grand. So what we were able to do for this particular person, which saved her bacon and she didn't throw up and life was happy, was that she was able to go get the items from the recycle bin, add them back out there, and then the only thing we had to do was figure out who had access to that particular notebook and do a little remedial training on what it means to not delete items in a notebook that is shared and synchronized across a number of different people.
Yeah, and Sherry asked a question, and is it unsynced at that point? So those, is it lost, or is it still synced even within that?
The recycle bin is still synced.
Okay.
So in that particular case, even though she wasn't the one doing the deletes, she could go out to the recycle bin and see all the information that had been deleted.
Excellent. Well, so I can add something, my own personal best practice for this, and let me share my screen there. But my personal best practice for this, and maybe it's not the right scenario for a shared resource, but is to every file, if I'm done with it, if I've written something that goes up on a blog or on my company site, I never delete. I archive. I've created a notebook and tabs to organize specifically for archiving that content. And why that is important, at least, again, this is the personal preference of the way that I work, is because when I'm going and researching a topic or looking like historical on something, like I've often written on multiple versions of the products, certainly in the last decade. And so I have almost a decade of OneNote notes that I've archived back. So I will go, and rather than starting my search as I'm researching a topic within Google, like most people, I will start in OneNote to see what I've already written on the topic or what's been discussed, what was in notes. And that has become a rich resource for for my writing project, certainly.
I can imagine.
All right, so here is my tip, and here is one. I came up with a couple, Tom, that I thought, a lot of us that have been around for a while are familiar with these, but some of the younger generation that is not as familiar with some of these things that we take for granted. So I wanted to add some kind of good old tips to this. But this is one that also came up recently where I advised somebody, and it's why I added it to my list here, but is unsending an email. And I know that has probably never happened to anyone on this call. Done something and want to recall it.
That was a very early tip in my internal Spark one day.
Yeah, but it's an important one. Unfortunately, what most people don't understand is how limited it really is.
Exactly.
So there's a lot of caveats around that I've outlined here, but so that if you've sent something to the wrong recipient, which is the most common scenario, where you're typing someone's name, you got the wrong Steve, and you want to go and remove that, or you've sent something out.
Our manager really sucks, and you send it to your manager instead of the person you were gossiping with.
Yeah, and I'd hear a lot more about these back in my IT days when BlackBerry was a big thing, and I'd have coworkers that would go out and consume adult beverages and then shoot off texts late at night. Bad idea. Bad idea. But so it's really simple to go in and essentially go up, recall the message, and then delete unread copies of the message. Obviously, if they've already read it, nothing you can do. If they, it's really ideal for inside your organization. You send it to their Hotmail or Gmail, you're out of luck. And it also has a limitation if they are looking at it via the Outlook web app versus the desktop version of that. And while I'd like to say that Microsoft is working on a solution to solve these kinds of things, it really kind of, it's one of those things where you just have to, face the fact that when you send an email, most likely it's out there. It's now out there, and it can't be retrieved. However, for internal, if you have you're just not yet ready for prime time, you accidentally sent a draft instead of saving to a draft and want to retrieve it back. There's plenty of other tips that I really like setting up automatically. Well, there's that. But, a tip that goes with this that helps prevent the need for this is to put a delay in place on your email sends. And it might only be like a 10-minute delay, and that's all it does. Any message that you hit send, it doesn't send automatically. It takes 10 minutes. So in case you go back, because that is often the case, like you don't recognize that a broken link, or you forgot someone, or you have a typo of some sort, usually, and now I'm really getting into kind of a second tip, but anyway, around this, to put that delay in place kind of saves you from some of this.
Couple questions we have out there, both about the fact that people have tried to do this before and it hasn't worked, or it says it's successfully recalled, but the person responds to the email that was theoretically successfully recalled. I think Christian will agree with me in the fact that, yep, that happens. And
right.
There's, again, it's not a 100% type thing. I know that when I presented it internally as a Spark 1 tip, it was kind of like, you can do this, but don't count on it to save your job if you just went after somebody and sent it to the wrong person, and now you're thinking, oh, they haven't read it, it's okay. Yeah, you may get away with it, you may not.
Yeah, and I think those caveats as well, depending on the version that they have, whether they went in and read the Outlook through the browser versus the desktop, all of those reasons where you may have gotten a successful recall on their desktop and yet they read it online, or it may have been sent to their mobile device synced there that, there's a number of different ways that they can kind of get around doing that. And that's why I think the better solution is this delay, which I'll tell you right now, Tom, I'll add it to my next one.
Okay.
That's setting up the delay. So that'll automatically be on the list there, because we do want to capture that for our posterity, have that out and recorded. So, because that's the other thing that, and by the way, we didn't mention at the beginning that Tom and I do is when we do a live event, like we're doing in a couple weeks here in Utah, that Tom and I will go back in and record that session. And I think we're also going to live stream it like on Facebook and YouTube as well. Yeah. But we go back and we do that session and share the votes from that session, just so that we have a recording of that out on YouTube as well. And
so for setting up the delay, you can talk to me later on today and I can show you how to do that. Basically, it's available. So,
all right.
Okay, we got 5 minutes left. Round 5.
And let me jump to that one. Yes, round 5 to wrap it up here. And so this is the Outlook offline access to your documents. And so this is a lot of people aren't aware of that, but yes, there's different options that you have out there. But actually going into Outlook, and you have to do it. You have to have Internet Explorer 10 or Chrome 16, and there's a quick configuration to get it to do this. But what's great about that is as it pulls down that email, it then also pulls down the attachments, because that's one of the annoying things when you're working offline. This has happened to me a number of times where I thought, well, I've got everything there, and I go into an email attachment and find that the documents that I need that are in that relevant email and I don't have connectivity, I'm out of luck because I'm not online. And so this is a configuration that will pull that down automatically so that you can have the email and all of those attachments offline as well.
Oh, people would like to know who won that last round.
Oh, right. Tom is 62 to 38%.
Boom. Okay. I can relax. I'm ahead 3-1. Yay!
Yeah, good job there. All right. So, Tom, over to you.
Yeah, and just on this offline access thing, especially for the people that work with me, I'm not entirely sure that you would have access to that, because I know that we do a lot of things because of HIPAA requirements that require mobile iron and stuff like that. So being able to take stuff offline and actually have it on your mobile device, there are some restrictions we deal with. So you can give that a shot, but don't be surprised if you don't have mobile iron, in our particular case, if that doesn't work correctly for you. Because that's been one of the things that slowed us down on our whole 365 migration, just because, we're so concerned about unmanaged PHI getting out on devices that we don't own and can't control. So, my final tip is locking the track changes feature in Word. So, tracking changes is cool, and sometimes it's a nice convenience to see where things are going, but at times it's a regulatory requirement because you have to be able to tell exactly what changed in a document, when, where, so on and so forth. And so to make sure that people don't go in, turn off tracking changes, make a change, and then turn it back on again and effectively hide what they did, you can actually lock the track features changes down in Word, which is kind of cool. So if you're in your document, you go to Review, Track Changes, and one of the options you have is Lock Tracking. And it will ask for a password. Now, keep in mind, this password is not a password for the entire document. It's only a password for the tracking locking. So if you set your password here and you're like, oh, I've got a password protected document. No, you've got a password protected document locking feature turned on. So you go ahead and put it there. And now if I went out and tried to track changes, you'd see that my track changes option is grayed out, and it says that it's currently disabled because it's been locked. So what I would have to do in order to unlock that is I'd have to select lock tracking again and get that initial password back. And so again, don't look at this as a security feature because it's really not. Look at it as a way to make sure that people cannot put information into a document where you're doing document tracking, and that they are making changes that are bypassing theoretical, legal, and or regulatory options or requirements that you have out there.
All right. So I guess with let me post the final poll.
Actually, we've got to vote on that last one.
Yeah, that's what I said. The final poll there.
Well, when you said final, I was just thinking votes because I know I'm the winner, and I was like, rushing ahead in my mind, knowing
and the poll is now live. There we go. So and again, let's just show the bias. All right, that's good. Yeah, I think it's clear on overall for the event. Tom, congratulations for the win. Finally,
thank you.
It would have been embarrassing to win yet again against Tom, but no, you clear winner. So 4 rounds to 1 for the overall. So that is this great job there. And so right now, yeah, you're winning the final round 73 to 28%. And there's the final slide there. Again, thank you, for Tom. Certainly for your time, and I know that this is always a lot of fun, and we do this, but it's we both have a lot of things going on. I really appreciate your continued partnership in this topic. So I have a lot of fun on these.
Ditto. This is something that I look forward to because, I do these tips on a regular basis internally. I share them externally. It's a lot of fun because I learn as much as the people who are reading the tips, because like a lot of times I'll, wake up Tuesday morning going, I don't have a clue as to what tip I'm going to put out there today. And you end up finding something like, oh, that's interesting. And you get to share it with others. And I appreciate all the people who, even though I was not trying to stack the deck, mostly,
yeah, right. Yeah.
To me, everybody, in my defense, when I told Christian that I pushed this out to like 1,300 people in the company, he was like, I'm okay with losing to you if it means that we're going to have that kind of attendance and coverage.
Yeah. So I stand by that.
With that.
I stand by it. Well, so like I said, when I discovered that you were doing your blog in the way that you're doing it, I'm like, I don't need to go do it. I'll just, and that's great. I want the resource that's out there. So likewise, I'm happy to take a loss every time if we have a great turnout like this. So
everybody remember that every time. I've got this recorded in OneNote now with a little note that said, he said every time, so I can go right to that.
Yeah. Well, and for the last question there, so yeah, this is going to be out on YouTube. I'm going to do some edits around that and add the slides in. I will also update the leaderboard so we know who won each round and the total score that's up there. So thanks a lot for everybody for joining. Tom, I'll see you out my way. There might be snow by then. It's pretty dry. It's cold but dry.
Hey, I definitely got used to cold when I was back in Minneapolis at Christmas, and the fact I'm moving to Minneapolis means that I must be okay with cold.
Yeah, adjust now.
There you go.
So, and yeah, we'll also, and Tom, you can probably send, through to that same list. I mean, certainly everyone who registered that participated will send links to the slides and to the video once they're done. I'll do that through the Zoom, through the tool. And Tom, I don't know, you're probably going to send that out to your list as well.
I'll definitely forward it out internally.
So, all right. Well, thank you everybody for participating, and Tom, we'll connect soon, and
we'll battle it out again at the Wasatch Wrangle.
Wasatch Wrangle coming up February 3rd. Yep. All right. Thanks a lot, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.